Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here. Relatively quiet news day for Tesla today to close out the week, but we do still have a couple stories to go through pretty quickly. I am recording just before market close, but it does look like Tesla will finish the week right around $800 per share, down slightly from yesterday and trailing the Nasdaq by about 0.5%. Alright, so probably the most interesting news of the day is coming from Electrek. They are reporting on Tesla's next factory plans, which of course we know are going to be somewhere in central US, and we've talked a lot about how that's likely to be Texas. Electrek today is reporting, quote, "A source familiar with the matter told Electrek that Tesla has chosen Austin, Texas for its next factory, and it's going to happen quickly," end quote. Okay, so Electrek is saying that this source is very reliable, but nonetheless, that part isn't really that exciting. I think we could all have guessed at this point that it would be Texas, especially with Elon's most recent comments about moving the headquarters to Nevada or Texas. But what does get interesting here is the timeline. Electrek says, quote, "We are told that the decision for the site is not set in stone since Tesla was apparently given a few options in the greater Austin area, but Musk is said to want to start construction extremely soon and aims to have Model Y vehicles coming out of the plant by the end of the year," end quote. Okay, so that's an extremely aggressive timeline. One of our listeners and patron supporters, actually, Christopher Carroll, joked with me on Twitter that this may impact my production estimates, which I am still working on and we will go through soon, but I'm not quite ready to put in units for Gigafactory Texas this year just yet. We are now in mid-May, so about 7.5 months left in the year. If we look at Gigafactory Shanghai, for example, they went from groundbreaking to production units in right around 11 to 11.5 months. But that was from groundbreaking. If we look from when Tesla actually acquired that land, that was in mid-October of 2018. So about 14 months from acquisition to production. As far as we know, in Texas, Tesla does not yet have that land purchased, and Electrek in this article is saying that they're still exploring a few different spots in that area. So even if that does get done in the next couple of weeks, Tesla would be cutting the time in half from the Gigafactory Shanghai pace. As we know, the pace for Gigafactory Shanghai was already incredible. It seems like Gigafactory Berlin is maybe on that same pace, even maybe a little bit faster if we look at some of the benchmarks. But even then, Berlin isn't scheduled to go into production until 2021. So this would be ahead of Gigafactory Berlin, which obviously would have started earlier. Now, that definitely doesn't mean this cannot be done. Electrek in this article is saying that it would begin with general assembly. So can Tesla get a general assembly line up and running in Texas in the next 7.5 months? I'm sure they could. And that phased startup method is definitely what we should be expecting from Tesla given what we have seen with all their factories so far. So like I said, I'm not ready to forecast units coming out of a Gigafactory Texas this year yet, but I'm also not ready to completely write off that possibility. Electrek says the plans would be initially for Model Y, so Tesla can just duplicate the production process they already have in Fremont, the one that they're already building out in Shanghai, meaning this would be at least their third iteration. At that point, you can start to do things pretty quickly. In terms of when this could be an actual Gigafactory where we're seeing battery production and things like that, well, again, something that we probably have to wait for Battery Day to have a better idea of, but we know the Cybertruck is coming in late 2021. That's the guidance right now, at least. So if Tesla decides the location soon, and in the next couple of months they break ground, I think a year from now, we could be looking at true production out of Texas, including batteries, motors, and things like that. Our last official communication on this topic came from Elon Musk on the Q1 earnings call. That was April 29th. He said, quote, "It will certainly be within 3 months and possibly 1 month," end quote, about when a location announcement would occur. Next up, we just have a quick update on the timeline for Battery Day. Not super exciting because we don't yet have a date, but Elon did reply to Viv on Twitter asking when the date would be, and Elon said, quote, "We're going to have to push out the date or attendance will be very low. Maybe do in 2 parts, webcast next month and in-person event a few months later." And Galley replied to this saying, "In-person events, webcasts are lame." Elon says, quote, "Agreed. People have forgotten how much in-person events matter. Also, there's a lot to see. It's not just a presentation," end quote. So I'm guessing with this they will continue to hold off until they can do an in-person event, but I expect that they will try to do an in-person event as soon as they possibly can. So I don't know, I'm hoping for end of June. Elon says in-person event a few months later, which, wouldn't line up with June. That would be more like August. So unfortunately not much more clarity here, and more teasers with Elon saying that there's a lot to see, not just a presentation. That could mean demonstrations of the battery manufacturing process. Maybe they wouldn't want to stream that. They could have people sign NDAs technically. Or perhaps it would mean something like a Plaid Model S demonstration. Next up today is some news that Tesla is lowering the price of the long-range single-motor Model 3 in China. We talked yesterday about how this is beginning production. Bloomberg today is reporting, quote, "The reduction applies to the long-range version of the locally built Model 3, lowering the sticker price by about 20,000 yuan, or $2,818 US, a company representative said Thursday. The cut of about 6% would make up for a rebate that is going away later this year, meaning customers would continue to pay 344,050 yuan for the car, the representative said, end quote. So I think this move's pretty expected. We know Tesla previously in April had cut the price of the standard range plus in China by I think around 13%. So there was a pretty big gap between the two. Bringing the long range down makes sense, and as Tesla continues to ramp up production, should be easily affordable from a margin perspective. That will do it for today though, and for the week. I hope everybody has a great weekend. We are finally getting some warm weather here in Milwaukee, so I'm looking forward to that. Until next time though, make sure you're subscribed and sign up for notifications, and following me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast, and I'll see you on Monday for the Monday, May 18th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.